Welcome to Friar Talk Tuesday, everybody. If you are listening on Friar Talk or America's Finest Sports, either way, we're going to be going over a little bit of the Padres struggles early on. Going to be talking a little bit about what the best lineup looks like for this Padres team. Going to be talking about Luis Campusano, and then at the end, we will do the Juan Soto City Connect jersey giveaway. We also have Sergio on today. If you guys are on Padres Twitter, you've probably seen Sergio's account quite a few times there. But Sergio, what are you feeling right now about this offense and where are you at with this team currently?
Let's call it a 5-game blip. It's a 162 game season. Let's not apply NFL one game, it's the end of the world, they lost logic. Let's, I mean, this is not last year's team. Last year's team did have a bad starting pitching staff, an exhausted bullpen, and 2 stars and a bad lineup around them. They have a lot more talent, and they're maybe the biggest panic point is the Dodgers are that good.
Yeah. The Dodgers are they're really good. That is definitely going to be everyone in the NL's biggest panic. I'm not very scared. Yeah, Sergio, you mentioned it. Kind of a 5-game blip. Offenses, baseball in general, every single team. It's a 162 game season. They're going to have their hot points. They're going to have their cold points. The Padres, surprisingly, I don't feel I've had their crazy hot streak yet, where they win, 8 to 10 in a row, something like that. But I feel like that will happen eventually with Fernando coming back. Juan Soto is doing really good, hitting 300, like 890 OPS since joining the Padres. Really, the only struggles have been, there's been a few struggles with Sean Manaea, Joe Musgrove, Manny Machado, Jake Cronenworth at the plate. But all these guys have a history of being able to succeed at the highest level. So hopefully they'll be able to turn it around very soon. Still around 50 to 55 games left. So hopefully the Padres are able to get, around 29 more wins. 29 more wins is the mark that we want. 90 wins by the end of the season is going to be perfect. So I'm not worried about these struggles. Of course, you get swept by the Dodgers and you lose the first game, putting up 0 runs against the Giants. Yeah, there's reason for worry. If you're worried, sure, it's warranted, but it's a 5-game sample size where you have a bunch of guys that haven't produced in that 5-game sample size who normally do produce. So you can feel safe saying that they're going to bounce back.
Yeah, and I'm totally with you guys. I mean, if anyone that's on Padres Twitter has seen that, like, the sky is falling recently, and people have been really, really upset about this team. Now, from my point of view, I've kind of maybe taken a little bit of time off from Twitter just because of how much of a nightmare it's been. But I do think that anytime you get shut out 2 games in a row, it kind of people like to hit the panic meter a little bit. And I get the frustration. Like, from a fan watching standpoint, it's brutal. Like, that's literally as bad as it gets. Like, I'd rather see a pitcher get rocked than see your team get shut out on back-to-back nights. Like, that is that bad. Now, I think that where this team is at and how good this team is being heavily underrated right now. Like, people are acting like this is still a bad offense. Now, are there still holes in the lineup? Yeah, at times there are. You have Ha-Seong Kim. You have Austin Nola right now with Jorge Alfaro out. And you have Trent Grisham that hasn't been hitting well. Will Myers also has not put up any numbers at all this year, basically. So you have a few spots where it's pretty rough. But when Fernando's back, you're going to have, 4 guys with over 800 OPS? Wait. 5 guys. 5 guys, yes. So 5 guys with over an 800 OPS. And really more like guys that are around 900 than closer to 500. So you're going to have a star-studded lineup. Now, even without them, I think this is kind of, we've seen a couple bumps in the road, but I'm not super concerned, like, in terms of the struggles. I would say probably the only guy that I'm like, I don't know if I'm concerned about, but like, I'm just at the point where I wouldn't really want to see them in a playoff game is probably Sean Manaea. But when the guys that have kind of got like the finger pointing lately have been Manaea, Musgrove, Machado, and Cronenworth. So, Sergio, I'll go back to you, but out of those 4 guys, how would you rate like the I don't know, like 1 through 4? Who are you most worried about? Who are you least worried about out of those 4 guys? Because I feel like they've got the majority of the finger pointing for the struggles lately. Sergio, you there? Oh, Sergio bounced out. Isaac, you
So
want to go ahead?
I guess that would be me then, huh? So what I will say is I'm not worried about any of them. If I had to rank them, Sean Mania, I'm most worried about. Jake Cronenworth third, Joe Musgrove second, Manny Machado first. I have no reason to worry about Manny Machado other than a little injury that's been bothering him for a little while. I mean, people didn't like the comment, but that's Manny fucking Machado, man. I mean, he's a stud, man. So I don't feel any reason to have to worry about some of these guys. I think Sean Manaea is going to figure it out. Joe Musgrove, everything points to him being able to figure it out. Jake Cronenworth, feel like I should talk about Jake Cronenworth a little bit. I noticed, you put out a tweet, but Jake Cronenworth is getting a lot of undeserved slander to the point where I feel like people are just trying to find a scapegoat right now. Why? There's so many positives on this team. There's not nothing, but there's so many positives on this team about this team that we're trying to find something out of nothing. I really do believe that Jake Cronenworth has been one of the best second basemen in all of baseball with a 3.2 WAR right now, on pace to have almost the same WAR as last year, where he put up a 4.1, which is an insanely valuable player. Keep in mind, he also gets paid $700K to be a 4 WAR player. That is absolutely absurd, the value that he brings to this team. So, in my opinion, there is no need to slander Jake Cronenworth. Yes, his offensive numbers are down, but he has set the bar so high that, I mean, you look at Ha-Seong Kim, right? Ha-Seong Kim, he's having himself a really nice season compared to last season, right? And he's getting a lot of praise for it. Jake Cronenworth is having a down season compared to last season. His numbers are still pretty solid, higher than Ha-Seong Kim's, and he's getting a bunch of hate, undeserved hate. So I don't think that's a guy that people need to be going after. He's been absolutely fantastic. I don't think there's anyone in the lineup that everyone should be going after. I mean, I feel like everyone's holding their own. Josh Bell has struggled a little bit, but we know he's going to find it. Juan Soto is batting 300 with 890 OPS since coming over here. Manny Machado, even if he's only, hitting has a 750 OPS in the last 30 games, whatever it is, the guy plays a Gold Glove defense and is playing through a pretty bad injury. It looked horrendous when he injured that ankle, and he's playing through that. Everyone's holding their own right now, so I don't think there should be a scapegoat.
Yeah, and I'm there with you too. I think Cronenworth, Miles said right here, a certain scapegoat is no longer with us, so Padres Twitters need someone to blame. That is literally perfectly said, and I was thinking about that too. Like that's definitely a lot of it. Now, when I'm looking at the team overall, I feel like there's not like you can look at it and say, okay, 5-game losing streak. Oh, I don't think Sergio can hear us now. But you can look at it. You can look at it and you can basically see, okay, 5-game losing streak, no offense. But one thing you can do is you can take a step back and you can go, what were the 5 games prior to the 5-game losing streak? You want to know what they were, Isaac? 5-game winning streak. You're 500 over the last 10. Now, have the last 5 been very rough? Yes, 100%. I'm not saying that's not the case, but 5 games in baseball is like an insignificant sample size. That's basically like playing half of the NFL season and making like your assumptions after half of it. So I don't think I think the finger pointing has gotten out of hand. I think for Cronenworth, we've already known that Cronenworth is a streaky hitter. We kind of know who he is. So for me, I feel like it's being a little bit overblown. Machado, I'm not worried about Machado. He had a little bit of a slump over maybe like the past week, but it really hasn't been that bad. And people have we end up looking at the numbers. He has like in his last 15 games, he has almost like an 800 OPS. It's like, all right, that there's no reason to panic at all. But I think Cronenworth is getting slandered for absolutely no reason. Since he came into the league, he's been one of the top second basemen. His numbers are not that far off from where they were last year, like a little bit, but his OPS plus is still 112 right now. So it's being a little bit overblown. Now, I think Cronenworth gets a lot of love when the team's doing well just because people like Jake Cronenworth. So there's going to be a lot of hype there. Maybe a little bit more than I guess his playing gets, right? Like he doesn't make a lot of money. It's more of it's like house money with Jake Cronenworth. He's a thrown in a trade and he makes $500,000 and you've got 2 all-star years out of him. So it's like, okay, yeah, of course he's going to be a fan favorite and you're going to freak out about him. But I definitely think that it's kind of being overblown. So Sergio, I see that you're back. We were talking about the
Sorry.
4 guys that have been struggling a little bit. So are you there with us now?
Yeah, I'm fine. Look, I'm slightly concerned on Machado clogging the bases because I don't think he's running well. And it might be a little affecting his offense. But I don't think you have the luxury of saying, hey, Manny, take 6 days off and get the ankle right. We're just going to have to ride it out. And on Cronenworth, we just say the guy is streaky like hell. I never understood why he's so streaky because he makes contact. The approach seems fine. Maybe he's a little too uppercut in the swing, but I've never understood why he can do these 10-day streaks where he's amazing, then be in a slump like it just he can go up 70 points on his OPS in like 6 days. And I still think he's going to finish 775, 800 for the year. And we're going to say, oh, he had a good year. So offensively, it's a blip, but it's painful when you're going through it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the worst part of the season. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, please. Go ahead, Isaac.
Yeah. So I was saying this feels like the worst part of the season so far, especially because you just got Juan Soto, Josh Bell, Brandon Drury, Josh Hader, and it's like, all right, I expected more than this. Like, but in reality, yes, we did all expect more than this, but we know this is not the reality of this team. I know the struggles they're heavy. They're heavy. I mean, we haven't scored in 23 innings, whatever it is, something like that. 21 maybe, I forgot. Yeah, that sucks. Had some runner in scoring position. Yesterday we were a little fingertip away from going into extra innings, and I would assume winning that game against the Giants. I mean, that kind of sucks. I mean, it's a game of inches, so we just got to see. We just got to see how it's gonna play out the rest of the series. I truly think they start getting it done today. I think today they start getting it done and being the lineup that we know they can be. Joe Musgrove on the bump. No better time for him to bounce back from his, past, rough past couple games. No better time for him to come back and be the no Joe that we know. No better time for this lineup just to, get behind him and rally and get him 5 runs, whatever it is today. Just time to get back into things, man. Time to get back into the swing of things. I saw something talking about Fernando earlier. Why haven't they activated him? Simple. He needs a little more time in the minors. Needs to get his swing back. Takes people quite a little bit of time to get their timing down and get their swing back into Fernando form, I guess you can say. August 15th, around that timeline, seems like the estimated return date for him. But maybe when Fernando comes back, they'll be able to take Manny off his feet a little bit more, whether it's plugging in Kim at third or Drury at third, whatever it is. Hopefully they'll be able to take Manny off his feet more because, the injury is definitely affecting him. So, very excited for Fernando to come back for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. I feel like we're talking about the struggles a lot. So I did want to bring this up. You bring up Fernando. We talked that the offense isn't really clicking. So for kind of this second topic here, I was thinking we could talk a little bit about the Padres lineup, and we could go through it, and we could build what our ideal lineup is. So we'll go 1 through 9 in that. Anyone in the chat, send over your lineups 1 through 9 as well. But Isaac, Sergio, we can start with this because before we hopped on, we were talking about this a little bit. But Fernando's back. First question: does Fernando hit leadoff or does Profar hit leadoff?
If you ask me, like before they traded for Soto, Profar was on a super hot streak for about 5-6 days. I would have told you Profar, but Profar has gone back to normal human being mode. I mean, you just got to get Fernando at leadoff, and let's do the 20 version of Profar at 9, and that worked. You just have to put the 3 stars, give them the most amount of at bats, and let's do Fernando, Soto, Machado, top 3, Bell, Drury, Cronenworth to 6, and that's the lineup, man. And the bottom 3 you'll have Profar at 9, and 7 and 8 are catcher and And
Right,
another
right,
one.
right. Hmm. Yeah, so mine is pretty much the same. I also used to have Profar at leadoff, but he's kind of cooled off a little bit. We know that Profar, he's had himself a really solid season, but we know what Profar is. That's going to be around this year. I mean, around a 750, 760 OPS. I'm assuming is what he's going to end with. Um, I'm a big fan of having my top guy get the most at bats. That's going to be Fernando Tatis. Um, Fernando is going to bat lead off in my lineup with Soto batting second, Machado batting third. I just truly believe that those three guys at the top of your lineup should be getting the most at bats, and they're gonna. I think they're gonna produce. Um, Sorry, I'm trying to remember. Then I have Bell, then Drury, then Jake, Alfaro, Grisham, Profar. I moved Profar down to the 9th spot just because I do like the second leadoff. He does get on base a good amount for Fernando, Soto, Manny. I like him down in that 9th spot. And then I think against that's my lineup. That is my lineup for sure.
Okay, I'm with you there too, because I like Fernando leading off. And it's funny too, because like last year, we were talking about this once in a while last year. And I never really liked the idea of Fernando leading off until he came back off the IL and then like he was just a catalyst at the top of the lineup. And it was night and day when he would lead off and when someone else would. And I felt like, okay, you can definitely feel the energy with Fernando leading off. Seems like everyone behind him hits a lot better too. So I became a much bigger fan of having Fernando lead off because before I also not really in the terms of like your one hitter being your best, but I always thought like you probably want your two hitter and then your three hitter as the best two guys in your lineup. You want a guy with speed up top. So up top, you literally have a 5-tool player. You have a guy that because we were talking about this too, me and Isaac a couple days ago. One of the things that makes the Dodgers top of their lineup so nasty is that they have so much speed with Mookie there, and then like it's dirty. But when Fernando leads off, I mean, if Fernando's healthy for a whole season, he can steal 30 bags. So if you have him there, and then you have Juan Soto next, do you know how many times you're going to start? If those two guys lead off an inning, do you know how many times you're going to have guys on first and second? It's going to happen so often. And so it's going to really come down to how well is Manny playing? How well is Soto playing? I would probably say that the set, like my second kind of like I don't know, like time where you have to make a change because I feel like 2, 3, 4, if you have Fernando leading off is pretty clearly Soto, Machado, Bell. At 5, I was kind of leaning towards having Cronenworth at 5, just because Cronenworth has hit really well with runners in scoring position. But then you see the pop that Drury has. You look at the numbers that Drury has, and it's hard to be like, oh, yeah, we're going to kick him down to 6. So I do think he should be 5. I think you have Cronenworth at 6. I'd probably put Alfaro at 7, and then Grisham at 8, and then 9 would be Profar. The reason I like, and I know it's kind of weird because you're going to be losing at bats when it comes to Profar, but I don't know. I just like the idea of having kind of like a second leadoff guy in that 9 spot. So pretty similar lineups. I think we're all kind of on the same board here. Isaac, you had talked. Oh yeah, go ahead, Sergio.
I think are they going to do a weird platoon where they have when they're facing a lefty and say, "Oh, Fernando, go into center field, and we're going to play Kim at shortstop."
I
think
think that
that's
would be the case.
that they run this weird platoon where Grisham plays against righties but doesn't play against lefties, and Fernando goes into center field against when in that situation, so Kim can get place shortstop against lefties. I think that is something, and we just said maybe Manny's going to get some days off from third base, so Kim probably is going to play a lot more than we probably are guessing. And Grisham, that dude is more talented, but drives me nuts. I want that guy to be the guy we saw at the early 21, the guy was going to be a star.
That is true. I thought it was going to be a star. I really did. I thought it was going to be an all-star, man. I thought it was going to be
Ken Rosenthal goes through his big Oh, the Padres found their next superstar. Trent Grisham is hitting 900 OPS, and the guy's been like a 650 hitter from ever he came back. It's weird.
Yeah, definitely. I also thought he was gonna be like a stud in this league, man. I thought for sure he projected to be one of the better center fielders in baseball with the Gold Glove potential, with the speed. Even though he doesn't look very fast, he's kind of fast. But at one point, he was able to drive the ball all over the field. He had I mean, mostly pull it, but he had a nice little spray chart going here and there. So he was looking pretty good. I also want him to be successful so much, but the way I see it is, yeah, I think they will sometimes do Fernando in center and Ha-Seong Kim at short. And I think that's kind of going to be the best way to utilize Ha-Seong Kim. He shouldn't be seeing much playing time with the way the lineup currently is. He shouldn't be seeing much play time against righties. Pretty much solely against lefties is my opinion. I mean, of course, sometimes you're gonna want to get either Fernando, Jake, Manny. You're gonna want to get them off their feet, and of course, the best guy to plug in that spot would be Kim, and I mean, I guess you could say Drury as well, but defensively, it would definitely be Ha-Seong Kim. So, he deserves his playing time, especially against lefties, where he's shown that he has some power. He can drive the ball. So he'd be great in that spot. And obviously, you want to take Trent Grisham out of the lineup against lefties. I don't know what his lefty numbers are. I don't know what his splits are, but I mean, he hasn't been very good in general. So it's like, can't cut him much slack. So we'll see what they do with all these guys, man, because they got Ha-Seong Kim, they got Brandon Drury, they got Will Myers. They have a few guys that are battling, not even battling, I would say, but going for spots that aren't really open. We had a super chat, or I don't know what they're called, but what's your guess of what's wrong with the team now? I don't know.
I think it's, I don't know. I feel like part of it's an adjustment period. I just think that it's way too small of a sample size to like determine that there's something wrong. Like, okay, if we look in a week or 2 weeks and it's the same deal where there's absolutely no offense, then I think that's when we ask the question. Now, I get that they're in a playoff push and they're trying to do that, but it does seem pretty tough to kind of determine, oh yeah, like they're screwed up, like there's a bunch of problems. I think it takes a little while to gel. I don't think that you can expect a team to just immediately flip the script. And we're talking about 5 games. So that's where I'm at with it. Sergio, I know your mic's cutting out a bit, but let's try one more time to see if it works. If not, maybe we'll have to call it a day on this one. But let's see if it's working here. What's wrong with the team?
I think that there's a human element of getting smoked by the dog. I think you can carry over one extra game. Like they got their butts whooped. They did, and Alex Wood always pitches great at Petco Park, and you can start pressing and say, "Hey, we're a hype team. We have to do this." And Alex Wood pitched really well. I think it's a little early to start jumping and getting all panicky, but it's let's have a better opinion after the San Francisco series. Is what I would say. But I think the biggest panic, as I said, is the Dodgers are that good.
Yeah. So Sergio, I still can't hear you. I still can't hear you too well. So I think we'll take you out of the stream this time, but we'll try to reconnect and fix these technical difficulties for the future so it doesn't come up. But I do want to say thanks for coming on, man. It's hard. It's breaking up a lot. So appreciate you coming on though, Sergio.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he has a thumbs up. He was cutting out bad.
Yeah, so I don't know, I don't know what's wrong. I think it's just a chemistry, just a period of, they're just in a slump, man. I mean, they're in a slump. Even in high school, if you played high school baseball, you'd go through like your 2-3 game slump, you'd get back into it. This is 162 games, not 30 or 40 like in high school though. And you would have those slumps, man. You're gonna have a 5-game slump. The Dodgers have gotten swept by 2 pretty bad teams, and they're the best team in baseball. So you're gonna go through those little periods where I mean, you're just not gonna play your best baseball. But I think one thing that kind of stood out to me, and it always stands out to me against the Dodgers for some reason. Always, never fails. Tony Gonsolin is the exception, because Tony Gonsolin, they were actually able to drive up the pitch count. He got out of the first inning with like 30 pitches, and he ended up pitching around 5 innings. They got one of the best starters in baseball out in 5. The thing with the Dodgers is they were able to get Sean Manaea out in like 3, something like that. Mike Clevenger out in around 5, and then Yu Darvish out. I mean, Yu Darvish had a pretty damn good start, but he was out in around 6. They drove the pitch count up and they got to the bullpen. Now, that might not work against the Dodgers because they got a really good bullpen, but Tyler Anderson leaving the second inning with 15 pitches is stupid. I forgot how many pitches Andrew Heaney went, but I mean, reality is, in a playoff series, in future series against the Dodgers, it's not very likely that Andrew Heaney is going to be pitching having a meaningful start for the Dodgers. It's more likely to be, especially in the playoffs, Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler, if they're able to get those guys back. So just being able to have those good at bats, man, foul off a lot of pitches, have good discipline at the plate. I think that's where the Padres have been struggling lately. Just their discipline at the plate hasn't been what I'd expect. Juan Soto's had fantastic discipline. He always does. So that's going to be the exception almost each and every day. Everyone else seems to be struggling right now. Another thing, though, they're not hitting for much power. Simple as that. They really are not hitting for much power. The Dodgers beat us by just hitting nukes. They were hitting nukes off us, and that's how they were able to win the game. I mean, look at the game against Clevenger. 3-2 ball game. He's pitching a pretty darn good game. I would say he was pitching a pretty darn good game. 5 2/3, 2 runs allowed, runners on first and third, and Max Muncy hits a bomb. That was kind of the theme throughout that series, especially, being able to hit the long balls, what's costing us right now. Even then, just slugging in general, the Padres are struggling. I fully expect that to come in with, Josh Bell, when Josh Bell is able to, get his numbers back up. Juan Soto's doing his thing. Manny Machado's healthier. I mean, I fully expect the slugging to be better. But other than that, I think they're going to be fine. Obviously, the pitching, you could look at the pitching that they've been struggling, particularly Sean Manaea and Joe Musgrove, but those two are pretty darn good pitchers in the past, and I fully expect them to be able to bounce back. But let's just see how they do the rest of the way. Pretty easy schedule.
Yeah, definitely. And especially after this Giant series, you have what? Nationals, Marlins, Nationals, Guardians, Royals? I think it's Royals after that. It's an interleague game. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I also see another thing here. So people are talking about Manny as a leader and basically saying, like, if Manny's not the leader, who is the next guy that would kind of be like the next guy up? I think it would definitely be Musgrove, but people are also bringing up Tatis, and I feel like Tatis does not get talked about as a leader. But when you watch the team, and you guys answer this for me, and I don't know the answer to this, but does it feel like they're like not really all there and all together when Tatis isn't there? I have literally always felt that since he's been on the team, where it's like, they're like 50% because Tatis isn't there, which is a problem because you have a dude that completely carries you. But like, I feel like he is like maybe not the leader, I guess, but like he is like the energy, like he's like the heart of the team. I still feel that. So I mean, that's being a leader on the field. Maybe you're not like a mentor, you're not like an older guy in the locker room, but I do kind of feel like if we're talking about a leader, like you have to at least bring up Tatis as a guy like that. I know he's not gonna get talked about either because like the whole motorcycle thing too, which kind of like most people are gonna be like, oh, absolutely not. But you can definitely feel when he's not there.
Yeah. In terms of being able to lead as being a mentor, I think he's too young. But when you look at the on-field production, Fernando leads by example. Fernando leads with his production. He's basically saying, look, I'm this good. I put up a 7 WAR in 132 games. I'm a top 3 player in baseball. Be as good as me. Try being as good as me. Try picking me up. Try putting up the production I'm putting up. And he brings energy and he brings excitement. That's what the Padres, that's what every team in baseball needs. just that guy that's super exciting and brings the fun, brings the energy. And you definitely feel a different vibe when Fernando's out. You felt it heavily last year. And I mean, when you get Juan Soto and Josh Bell, you kind of forget that. You don't forget that Fernando's out, but you kind of forget that energy is missing. But prior to getting those guys, that energy, you did not feel it. I mean, if you were to say the Padres games are much more boring this year than they were last year, I would not blame you, because this one guy in particular is missing. So I don't know if you guys heard that outside. But Fernando's a stud, man. He leads by example. He leads with his play. He leads with these insane plays that he makes, these clutch home runs that he hits. He's absolutely an example on the field of what a great baseball player is. And I mean, he's not the most humble or disciplined guy, but I mean, he's exciting. He's young. He's the face of baseball when he's on the field. So yeah, it's a big. You notice when Fernando's gone, for sure. Not even just on the field, but in terms of energy and everything.
Yeah, and that's why I think like you did feel like a little bit of a spark when you go and get oh, you're echoing a little bit, when you go and get Soto and Bell, but I definitely feel like that's kind of like the next thing. But I don't know. Yeah, I see people talking about the Machado comment. I don't know what you think. I was not the biggest fan. I'm not gonna lie. Little odd. Do you think?
It was weird. It was definitely pretty weird. Especially because I've never heard him say something like that. Not at least not in his time with the Padres. I kind of just think that, I don't know if, like, I feel like even though players don't act like it, I feel like they do see stuff in the media. I feel like they do see all this kind of stuff of, oh, this team's struggling because this guy's not doing this. And I feel like one of the guys that's kind of been getting some heat is Manny Machado. So maybe his ego did get to him a little bit, because he's just trying to prove a point, man. He's just trying to say, like, yeah, I'm Manny Machado. Like, I'm a good baseball. He is a damn good baseball player. Yes, he's been struggling. He's a damn good baseball player. That's not really what you want to hear your leader say. I mean, something as simple as, because we're a good baseball team and we got pretty good players over here. So I fully expect us to be able to bounce back, and we're getting this guy that has like a 7 WAR coming back. Something like that would have worked too, but I feel like that was a little bit of a weird comment, seeing how we never have really heard him say something like that. But I don't want to turn my back. I mean, you can criticize him. I don't consider criticizing him turning your back on him or anything like that. But I don't want to criticize him too heavily off a comment that, maybe he regretted saying at the end of the day. Maybe it was just in the heat of the moment, because, I mean, they just got swept by the Dodgers. Obviously, him being a former Dodger, him getting a lot of slander from Dodger fans, he probably wants to beat that team really bad, man. He probably has some sort of fire that really, really, against the Dodgers. So I can imagine he was a little heated after that series. And, hearing reporters say, are you concerned? Basically saying, what are you concerned that you guys have been sucking? Basically, that's what I hear. I could see why he would be a little angry. Nonetheless, doesn't warrant the comment. But, I mean, that's our captain no matter what. Like, even if he said that's our captain.
Yeah, so I thought it was fake, bro. I really thought it was fake. I think I texted you that. I think I said that's a fake comment. Like, it was like one of like what's it called, like Facts MLB, right? I legitimately thought it was one of those, and you were like, no, that's real. I was like, no shit, that's a real comment. So yeah, it's a bad comment. It's a bad thing to say. I definitely am there with you, but I mean, we've seen over the last couple of years, like, I don't know. I think the past like week for Machado has been a little weird, but outside of that, like, Machado's kind of been perfect since he's been here in terms of like a locker room presence and a guy like that. And that's of course what people are talking about Haas too. So definitely a little weird time with Machado for sure. So we'll see how it ends up playing out. But yeah, I don't know. Not the biggest fan of that comment, but last segment here, going to be talking a little bit about Mr. Luis Campusano. So wanted to talk about him just because right now he's technically the Padres' #1 prospect, even though I think a lot of people probably have Jackson Merrill over him. And the reason why Dylan Lesko's not there is that he's just not updated on the list yet. So he will probably be the one after that. But right now, if you look on MLB.com, you look up the prospect list, he is your #1 guy. Now, we also see that Jorge Alfaro got hurt last night. Do not know the severity of that injury. So first, I want to talk a little bit about, is Luis Campusano a guy that can be a September call-up? Can he make any amount of an impact? Can he be a backstop on this team? Can he be the backup behind Nola if Alfaro is out for a little bit? And then we'll talk a little bit about the future of Campy. But what do you think about him potentially being a September call-up or a guy that replaces Jorge Alfaro?
I mean, I could see him being a September call-up, but I don't really see him having much of an impact just because of the comfortability that the pitching staff kind of has with both Austin Nola and Jorge Alfaro, where you see Sean Manaea mostly throwing to Jorge Alfaro. Clevenger, I don't really know if Clevenger has like a set catcher. I would probably say it's Austin Nola. But same with Blake Snell. Blake Snell likes throwing to Nola, and they all have some sort of comfortability in throwing to both of those guys. Whereas you saw, like, it didn't really seem like anyone was comfortable throwing to Luis Campusano in a short stint. I mean, apparently his catching has improved, so that would be great to see at the major league level, just because I thought he did fairly decent at the major league level in his little stint. He got a lot of hard hit outs, unfortunately. Catching, he did not look very good, but at the plate, he looked okay. I kind of also, agree with Rat Boy King. I think Gallagher would be the call up before Campusano, where you see them carry 3 catches, but Campusano still needs some work. So, yeah, I don't know how much of an impact he would have. I think he has a great bat. I think he's going to be a great hitter, hits for some power, but I don't know how much of an impact he'll have at the major league level in September.
Yeah, and I'm there with you. I don't think that there's that much of a chance that he comes up and provides a lot of reps at catcher. Now, maybe as a bat off the bench, maybe a little bit of DH. He hasn't really played much first. Maybe in the future he could play first, but I think you're right about Cam Gallagher being the guy that gets called up before him. And I think that when the rosters expand, you'll probably see Cam Gallagher get called up. So I think that he's probably going to be like the next catcher up, where Luis Campusano is like one away from being like the next guy up. But I don't know, man. I still have a lot of faith in him, like long term, but my faith on him actually being able to be a catcher has definitely diminished. And I think literally probably every single person that's in the stream right now listening probably feels the same way, because all of the reports are pitchers hate when he's the catcher. There's no chemistry. He's not good at it, and there's just a bunch of question marks about him defensively. And then meanwhile, he just stays in AAA, in AA, wherever he is, and just absolutely rakes. And you look at his offensive numbers, and it completely warrants him getting called up. But he still hasn't got called up. So I don't know if the future for Campy can really be catcher, unless it's been completely overblown, where like a lot of fans and a lot of media members are just like way off, and it's like, okay, it's not that big of a deal. But for how much we hear about it, I think that it's more likely that we're going to see him as like a DH role. And I would not be surprised at all if he starts getting reps in the offseason and in spring training at first base. Because keep in mind, you also have now a spot that's going to be open in at first base next year. So do you think that he has a future as a catcher? Or do you think it's more of like that DH first base kind of role?
Sorry. I think he has a future as a catcher. Maybe, but he does need significant improvement. I mean, I feel like there's no reason to keep him down in AA or AAA unless he's really struggling at his position, because in terms of what you see at the plate, it's pretty damn good. He hits for power, but I don't know. Everything else, it's like, damn, what the hell's taking so long? Like, he's been a prospect for a really long time, and he got called up for a little bit because of someone was injured. Austin Nola was injured, so they had to call up Luis Campusano. So I don't really know where else he would play, though. That's kind of the question. I don't really know where else he would play. I mean, you could say first base, but I don't know how many reps at first base he has. Also, I kind of think he would look weird at first base. I don't know how tall he is, or how. I mean, he looks a little stocky, but he's not very tall, so I kind of think he would be a weird guy to put at first base. Also, don't know how. I mean, catchers are pretty solid athletes, but
Bro, he looks like a catcher. He does not look like a first
exactly.
baseman.
He looks like a catcher. He looks fully like a catcher. Like, that is a guy that I look at, and that is a catcher. Hopefully, we just gotta hope he starts to string together some good performances defensively, because he can be an impact player for the Padres. Maybe not this year, but next year should be like the last straw. Like, all right, You need to get called up this year. We need you to improve by this time. I was actually very surprised that he was not traded, because that was the one guy I thought he was for sure gone. So kind of surprised that the Padres were able to hold on to him, whether that be that they couldn't get rid of him or they didn't want to get rid of him. I would love to know, because that kind of gives you two different perspectives. They didn't want to get rid of him. They have they view him very highly. If they couldn't get rid of him, he might suck. So we'll kind of see how that all plays out. But Luis Campusano is kind of a weird subject. It's a weird guy to talk about, because you don't know. We don't really see him actually perform behind the plate. We just kind of have to go off reports that we see, and we don't know if he can really play any other position.
Yeah, and that's why I think he's going to get some reps at first. Now, I do kind of wonder if he could maybe be like a third catcher on the roster, where like he maybe starts once a week at catcher, and then he gets a little bit of playing time at first, and a little bit at DH. I think that would be ideal moving forwards, where like at least you're getting a little bit of him catching. And I saw that Gil wrote up here. Where is it? Let me pull it up. He said reports say that he's improved defensively, but Padres should have developed him as a first baseman as well. Yeah, I think so too. And also, if he is developed as a first baseman, you probably would have seen him get some reps there recently. Like, he could have been the guy that would have played first base with Hawes gone. Like, I think you definitely could have seen that. So, I don't know. I think that it was a mistake for not developing him there. Now, I also thought it was a mistake for not developing CJ in right field. So, like, there's been a couple guys where it's tough, because you're like, you don't really have a spot there. And then when you saw the Padres go and get Alfaro last year, it made it seem like very obvious, like, okay, they don't really view him as like a guy in this team. Because you remember when the last offseason started, we were assuming that the Padres catchers were going to be Campy as the backup and Nola as the starter. Yeah. And then they go and they get Alfaro out of the blue, and it's like, oh, they're going to keep 3? And it's like, no, they're not calling up Campy, bro. Like, they don't have that much interest in him. So that's kind of where I'm at, where it just seems tough for what his Campy's future looks like. But I don't know. It's probably all I got on him. Isaac, anything else on Campy? Any other questions you guys have?
Nothing.
Should we get into this giveaway?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and let's do it. Go ahead and drop your name. I mean,
we got to get this spinning. We'll get the spinning wheel up.
We gotta get
if you guys remember the last giveaways we've done, I'll have to find this thing right here. Random, like, what is it? The random wheel generator. Yeah. So basically, if you guys are going to enter right now to the giveaway, we're going to be giving away a Juan Soto City Connect jersey, which will be real fun. You guys got to basically just put your username in here, and if you win, just we'll get in contact somehow, and I'll get you the size for the jersey. We'll get your address and stuff, and I'll send it to you, because I live right by one of the MLB stores, so it's really easy to do. But let me try to get this random wheel generator thing going.
Drop your name in the comments.
Yeah.
Not your actual name if you don't want to drop your actual name, but an abbreviation of your YouTube name, whatever it is that you guys want.
Yeah. Random wheel. There it is. This is not it. Okay. Let's get this going. Oh, but Isaac, what do you think about this team for the next couple of days? Because I see a lot of people are getting upset. So while we wait, you want to kind of give your breakdown? Because you were saying that you're feeling a little bit of a bounce back.
Yeah, let's give it a little 5 minutes or so for everyone to get their names in, and the way I feel about this team. So obviously, like I was saying earlier, I truly don't think there's a better opportunity for this team to bounce back with Joe Musgrove on the bump, and yeah, I mean, that's really it. Joe Musgrove is on the bump today. There's 2 opportunities for a bounce back: Joe Musgrove himself and the lineup. So hopefully we're able to see kind of sort of a big bounce back, because this team's definitely looked a little sad. It's been very disappointing. Obviously, these past 5 games, you see guys struggling up and down the lineup. I mean, I saw a stat today where Jerkson Profar is like 2 for his last 19, something like that. Jay Cronenworth's around that same area. There's a bunch of different guys that have been struggling since that Dodger series, where the Padres just look completely overmatched, and that sucks to say, considering we went into that series thinking we're just as good as the Dodgers, and I mean, we're not. We're really not. As of right now, we're really not. But that doesn't really matter when it comes September, October. All you got to do is get as hot as possible. So we'll see how they do. We'll see how they do against this Giants team. I mean, it's going to be very important to be able to take series against the Giants from here on out because they came into this series, I think, 6.5 games back. You kind of want to separate them from yourself as much as possible. You know, get them completely out of the wild card race. That way, you're not worried about another team come mid-September, late September. You want them out of the playoff race. Got to take care of business against them, and then obviously the Nationals have been one of the worst teams. Have become one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in baseball. So got to take care of business against them also. A lot of teams that we're going to be playing are under 500. So hopefully it's not the 2021 Padres where, you know, they play teams against five that are under 500 and they look pretty horrendous. This time it needs to turn around. They need to play strong baseball against teams under 500 and take advantage of the rest of their schedule. You still have a few series against the Dodgers. Those aren't really going to matter as much as we want them to. I mean, those aren't really going to be, oh man, I want to beat them because the Dodgers. It's going to be, oh man, I want to beat them because we need the wins. We need to be able to keep ground against the Braves and the Brewers and the Cardinals and other teams like that. Like, we need to be able to just separate ourselves from them because right now the Dodgers aren't our biggest worry. It's the other wild card teams. If we were to play the Dodgers in the playoffs, yeah, they could be our biggest worry. I know we all hate them so much. We don't like them because they've bullied us for as long as we can remember. But none of it will matter come October. So we just got to get there first. That's what we got to worry about. So hopefully we're able to get a little bit of hot streak, man. Turn that 5-game losing streak into a 5-game winning streak again, and just start taking care of business because making me really sad seeing how negative everyone is, man. It's making me really sad. It's like, damn, we went through lineups with Austin Hedges, Francisco Mejia, Christian Bethancourt, you know, a bunch of trash lineups growing. Alexi Amarista, Corey Spangenberg. There's so many bad names that I can name. And now we got Juan Soto and Josh Bell and all these crazy Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis, and I feel like we're more negative than we were with those bums. I mean, that's truly how I feel. So I try and stay as positive as I can because this team's freaking good, and it's much better than the teams that. What do we have, like 6 total playoff appearances in our franchise history? 6 of them. Like, this team should have warrant number 7. And we should be pretty confident that they're going to get us number 7. So, yeah, that it does make me a little frustrated seeing how frustrated people get. And you know, frustrations are okay, but to say this team sucks and oh man, this team is not going to make the playoffs. It's a replay of last year. This person sucks. This person sucks. Yeah, it sucks to lose 5 games in a row, and it sucks to see Jake Cronenworth's offensive numbers go down. Manny Machado's over the past month or so go down. Those are damn good players that are probably going to bounce back. There's nothing to worry about. But yeah, so, you know, hopefully we see this team bounce back soon.
I was going to say, I also feel like a lot of the reason like I'm not as worried is because I feel like a lot of people do not like, I don't know, a lot of people are frustrated because like there's been a lack of performance over less than a week where I'm expecting the Padres to have some positive regression. I'm expecting these guys to play a lot better. I'm expecting the lineup to look a lot better. Why? Because look at the numbers. Look at the guys in that lineup. It's significantly better. Now, has it been a good start? Fuck no. Fuck no. It's been terrible. It's been as bad as you could have asked for it to be. So I get the frustrations, but I just think like if we're being realistic, like let's look and see what would you realistically think is going to happen. I think they're going to be above 500 for the rest of the way out. I think they're going to make the playoffs. And if guys get hot at the right time, they have a chance. But that's the same thing for all of the playoff teams. If your top guys get hot at the right time, if your pitching is playing, if your pitching is doing well, that's why it's a big deal that guys like Blake Snell, who has now come around and over like the last 6 weeks has been an absolute stud. I don't know if you saw, Isaac, but Blake Snell's ERA is under 4.
Yeah.
You know that?
Yep.
And it was like 6 like 2 months ago. So I think, you know, you have a lot of starters that can really like, they're going to be good starters in the playoffs. Darvish has had his ups and downs in the playoffs, but honestly, he's kind of an up and down pitcher. So like you either get a great start and then every like 5 starts, he just gets rocked. That's kind of how he's been, at least from when I've been watching Darvish, it's typically been the same thing. So I don't know. I think that, you know, in terms of the deadline, I see people talking about the deadline. Yeah, no more excuses. Accountability, please, from ADS. Like, dude, they just added Juan Soto, Josh Bell, Josh Hader. Like, let it sit for a second. Let it sit for a second. Also, Isaac, apparently you look like Adrian Morahone.
With the hat on, yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, I can see with the hat on. Without the hat, I don't think so. But
Yeah, no way.
okay, so I got the random name generator here. I might be missing some people's names, so I'm gonna look through here. If you guys do not see your name, I'm gonna scroll slowly so we don't get it all jacked up. But this is like the first page of people. Give it a second, and then I will go down a tiny bit underneath Nick S.
So for anyone who doesn't remember, what was it? Around Christmas time? Around Christmas time, we gave away a Brown Fernando jersey, and there was probably like 18 people in the stream.
Yeah.
Now there's 71, so good luck. Good luck.
You guys should have went for the Fernando jersey.
Yeah, good thing to talk about Blake Snell, man. Blake Snell has a 2.4 ERA, 2.41 ERA in his last 7 starts. I feel like we got slandered a little bit for saying we shouldn't trade Blake Snell. So, anyone wanna argue with me? Argue about that? Because he's been fantastic, man. Everything looks good with him. I think he kind of canned his changeup again, but everything else, slider, fastball. Hopefully, he gets his changeup back again soon. But everything else looks good for Blake Snell. That's kind of the guy that I definitely want on the bump come, late September, game 1 of any October series. I think he'd be fantastic in that because he does pitch up to par when it comes to big games. He pitches fantastic. So that's someone that I definitely want on the bump, followed by, some combination of Mike Clevenger, Yu Darvish, and Joe Musgrove. But having that one lefty of high caliber that typically does come around come second half of the season is going to be huge for the Padres pitching staff. I mean, yeah, they've kind of been down these past couple games, maybe this past 2-3 weeks. I don't know, however you want to say it, but plenty of capability of bouncing back. I'm just trying to stall until we get this giveaway going. But let me know if you guys have any other questions. I'll try and answer them while Matt gets that done.
Yeah, I'm seeing. So Rapboy says he was one of those 18 early on. So props to Rapboy on that one. Steve asked if he was on. JDS asked if he was on. Yeah, JDS, you're here. I just put you as JDS third, and then Steve, you're right here. So, how you guys? Richard W is the last one I have.
Chase. Oh, sorry, I was answering the question. Chase said he was moving. Jury, if he wears an oven mitt, is safe at the plate. That was actually a really funny comment I saw on Twitter earlier. If he wears that thing that Hassan Kim wears, yeah, he's probably safe at the plate. Will Myers is the only true weak link. I mean, he hits for average. He doesn't hit for much power. So, I mean, everyone knows I don't really like Will Myers as much as Matt and Chase do, especially Chase. But
that's because remember when we used to entertain the idea of trading Will Myers, Chase would be like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. He's definitely come around a little bit more.
Yeah. So, I wouldn't say he probably is the biggest weak link, but he's not going to get much playing time. Let's see.
I think this is everyone's name. So last call real quick if we got anyone else that doesn't see their name or anything. Also, if you didn't see your name and you're just kind of like hoping that it's there, just send it. It's all right. I can
we'll try. How do you feel knowing that we're missing the Patrick Corbin start? That sucks because he sucks. Should we keep Kim at shortstop? Against lefties, sure, but otherwise, Fernando's going to be our shortstop. Yeah, I think that looks like the last question.
All right, let's get this thing going. I really got you on there. Okay, final question. Will the Padres score 1 run tonight? If they don't score 1 run tonight, forget everything I said about being patient, all right?
Yeah, you guys can panic if they don't score a run tonight.
That would be 3 games in a row.
I'd panic. I would panic. I'd actually panic.
I'm really hoping there's a bounce back tonight. So, GC says, "Can I play?" Yeah, GC, I'll put you in here. All right. Anyone else? Let's see. How do you get in? JWS. All right, JW, we got you in, man.
There you are, man. That's how you get in. You just comment.
Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1.
What
Dude,
the?
that was close.
Oh no! Oh, good job, Cola. Dang, that was crazy.
All right, Cola, where are you? I saw you were one of the first people that commented. It went all the way around. It was right at the very end of the list too.
Mhm.
So congratulations to Cola. If you have us on either like Twitter or just comment in the chat. Oh, here he is. So just you can just comment and like do something so we can figure it out. But if you're on Twitter, you can also just DM us as well. Probably the easiest way. If not, just comment on like a random old video. I'll see your comment and I'll talk to you that way. But congratulations to Cola, winning the
Congratulations, man.
Juan Soto. Real fun one right there. But yeah, I see JDS also came back, said you guys do a great job. We're all passionate about the team, want optimism, performance, and yeah, that when it comes to a lot of the stuff going on, like I get it, I get the frustrations. I feel the same way. If you guys had ever been in a room when I'm watching a football game, you would definitely see the passions and the screaming at the TV and all of that stuff as well. So definitely feel you guys there. My handle is respectful. Okay, there we go. Let me take a picture of that so I got you. But yeah, all right, guys. Hopefully this team bounces back tonight. We're going to be going live tomorrow, probably after the stream sometime. We're gonna have a Giants fan who actually we went on his show a while back. He's gonna link up with us as well. So I think that's probably gonna be it for today's episode. Sorry about the technical difficulties early. We were excited to have Sergio on, but I mean, we interact with him on Twitter all the time, but definitely was cutting out a bit there, so I couldn't really hear him either. So it was a bummer that didn't get worked out. But hopefully, if we bring Sergio on again, we'll work those issues out before, and now we know moving forward, right? So thank you guys for hopping on. Hopefully the Padres get some offense going tonight because I'm getting tired of watching them play 18 innings of baseball without scoring a run. So hopefully we get some of that. But overrun, final one. Flat life.
They're gonna put up 23 runs to make up for the 23 innings that they've missed putting up a run.
All right, there you have it. Hot take. All right, see you guys. Have a good night.